The 14 boats who appeared in the 10-event 1989 racing season proved that the turbine era was going to produce close, exciting racing among the world's fastest race boats. For the 5th time in 6 years, Bernie Little's Miss Budweiser team took the National High Point Championship, followed by Bill Bennett's Miss Circus Circus and the community-owned Whole-Set Miss Madison. In all, 5 different teams and 6 different boats achieved the winner's circle during the season. The season started on May 21st in Houston, Texas. Miss Budweiser, a brand new boat, qualified fastest at a record-setting pace of 143.827 on the 2-mile Clear Lake Oval Course, with Jim Kropfeld back in the cockpit, recovered from injuries suffered in 1988. Fully recovered, Kropfeld made the most of his comeback appearance, despite a spin-out in the first preliminary heat and a bumping incident with Miss Circus Circus in the second.
Budweiser is coming in from the right side of your screen. They come in and hit right there.
When the chips were down in the winner-take-all final heat, Jim was his old championship self, winning handily.
Corner number 2.
Miss Budweiser, Jimmy Kropfeld in the lead, but they must have at least...
Moving on to Miami, Florida, the new beer wagon still had a problem with hooking in the turns and finished an overall 3rd, behind Mr. Pringles and Oh Boy Oberto. The Circus Circus, with its new wide Ron Jones sponsons, was the apparent winner at Miami, but driver Chip Hanauer jumped the gun in the final heat and had to run an extra lap, ending up in 4th place.
Tried to power on, got light on it. Now he's coming up and going to take advantage of that hook by the Budweiser. It is now Circus Circus in the lead as they go down again to corner number 1. Chip Hanauer has got his foot into it. He's got those little tiny rear view mirrors you can see on the side of the cockpit, and he's looking back. He's got to know where he is. And Jim, we just got word. The word has come down to us that Chip Hanauer and Circus Circus did indeed jump the gun at the start, so he has been penalized 1 lap. Scott Pierce takes the win in the Miami Regatta. He has got to be thrilled to death at this point. He had a very disappointing day, but it produced a beautiful flower at the end of it in the form of a championship.
The Spirit of Detroit Regatta featured one of the best 2-boat shootouts in Detroit River history in Heat 2B. Kropfeld and Miss Budweiser held off a gutsy challenge from Hanauer and Miss Circus Circus for 5 dynamic laps. Kropfeld led all the way, maintaining the inside lane and keeping Hanauer on his hip in lane 2. But despite their preliminary heat brilliance, this was not to be the Budweiser team's day. Their boat blew over while leading out of the first turn in the final heat.
Turn number 1, it is going to be the Budweiser. Jim Kropfeld in the Budweiser has taken the lead. Circus Circus is trying to close. Also the Winston Eagle right up in there. Budweiser is leaving them in the wake as he goes down by the boat club turn. Budweiser in the lead. Jimmy Kropfeld, look at that boat, gets light. He's going up, up, and over. Jim Kropfeld has crashed by the Detroit Boat Club. He is underwater at this time. The boat is upside down. Jimmy Kropfeld losing it as he goes into the second corner of turn number 1.
He is upside down. He has the breathing apparatus. There comes the rescue crew. They'll go underneath the water, tap on the canopy, let him know they're there. Then you'll see them mount the boat from the bottom. They'll open up a special hatch and have to pull that driver out. He was leaving everybody like a scalded ape. Bernie Little, much concerned. He's been there before, his team talking it over. But he had a big lead and did not let up between corners 1 and 2. They're pulling him out of the boat now, Dick.
There he is, Jimmy Kropfeld. You can see him with the helmet on, and as we look at him out there being rescued, let's take another look at how the accident happened. He got airborne. He literally lost it as they came down around that turn. He goes in and hits down on his left sponson, which slowed the boat a little bit, but the boat continued to go over. Now, here's another angle on it.
Yeah, Dick, now watch. Now, he hits a bounce right there. He has not taken his foot out of it. He's starting to fly. Look at the skid fin hanging down. He's losing control. Once the prop and the rudder come off and out of the water, he's helpless. He flies it, does a 180 with a twist. It is on the left side, smashes in stern first, flops over upside down.
Fortunately, Kropfeld was uninjured and Miss Bud was not badly damaged.
The checkered flag is out.
the race went to Hanauer and Miss Circus Circus, followed by Larry Louderback in the Winston Eagle and Mike Hansen in Holset Miss Madison. After landing upside down at Detroit, Jim Cropfeld and Miss Budweiser finished right side up and back in the winner's circle at the next race in Madison, Indiana. On the strength of their 4-heat Grand Slam at Madison, the Bernie Little team moved into the season high point lead for the first time in 1989, after trailing Miss Circus Circus by 594 points after Detroit. The next week in Evansville, Indiana, the Bud and the Circus were the obvious favorites. On race day, however, it was a different story, as both Circus and Budweiser had a bad day. Miss Circus Circus nullified a victory by hitting a buoy during the warm-up to the final heat. Miss Budweiser ran into a rooster tail and sputtered to a halt.
And there they go. They are off and running down to the first corner.
Look at that shot from our helicopter. Look at those rooster tails, and look at the way they bounce. And oh, look out to the right. Look at Mr. Pringles there in lane number 3. Almost went out. I think he just did kiss, or I don't know how he would miss the Miss Risley's.
Out in front for the lead right now is Circus Circus, Chip Hanauer.
I'm getting a report on the URC radio. As they're passing it out to us, this boat is in first place, as it seems or appears. That's not the case. Chip Hanauer has been penalized an extra lap. So the Circus Circus is not in the lead. This boat is in the lead.
The victory this time went to Larry Louderback and Winston Eagle.
That has not won yet this year.
Putting the pedal to the metal. Here comes your winner. He knows he was being challenged, but it's going to be the first victory ever for Larry Louderback in Unlimited. The winner, Winston Eagle of the Budweiser Thunder on the Ohio.
Scott Pierce took second with Mr. Pringles, followed by Todd Yarling in Risley's.
I'm kind of speechless right now. I couldn't be any prouder for myself. Steve Wilmer, the Winston Eagle team, these guys, we got down the second heat today. I was overtaken by a heat today, and I went out for the second heat and told Jim, I said, man, I don't feel very good. I'm weak. And he said, well, just go ahead and drive your own race, Larry. And we were in a comfortable third, and the throttle link just fell off. We had to pull out. I said, man, if we don't make the final, I'm going to be sick, But we made the final with 400 points by winning the heat 1B, and couldn't be any prouder for my guys. These guys are the greatest. I'm a little choked up. I'm sorry, but, I love I'm a little choked up.
We had a saying at the start of the season, the race isn't over till the Winston Eagle screams. And I'll tell you, the fine folks at Winston, the people at Mobile Oil and Mr. Gasket, they've made this all possible. And a fine driver we got here in Larry Louderback, and a tremendous crew with Jim Lucero and all the guys on the crew that have worked night and day, and I mean night and day, since Houston to bring this boat to where it's at. So we couldn't be happier.
Question, they were getting light coming down, and there is no backing off for Scott Pierce. Again, light coming into the turn. He manages to come. He loses it. He's up and over. The Mr. Pringles has crashed on the course. Larry Louderback missing him on the outside. Scotty Pierce inside the canopy. He is moving. You can see him inside the canopy, trying to check gauges and such. Mr. Pringles, Scott Pierce up and over in that dangerous rooster tail turn. Jim, it looked like the boat went over and started to come down on the backside, went into the water, boomeranged out, and actually flipped right side up again. So a good break for Scott Pierce there.
Eric Stallow and the rescue crew have removed the driver. He's on a stretcher right now. They're checking him over by rules. The
Circus was not about to concede the season. While the damaged hull underwent repairs, driver Chip Hanauer and crew chief Dave Vilwalk activated a backup boat for the 2 Pacific Northwest races. As race time neared, the Bud was a likely candidate to repeat as Columbia Cup champion, but this was not to be Budweiser's day. In fact, all 5 of the turbine teams in attendance at Tri-Cities were beset with problems. Miss Circus Circus lost a rudder and had to withdraw. Unlimited hydroplane racing went through profound changes in the 1980s. The decade came in with the ear-splitting roar of Merlins, Griffins, and Allisons. It went out with the whispering